Hey. Ah, happy Wednesday. So, really nice to be here. Anybody suffer a whole lot earlier today? Instagram was out, Facebook was out. Just curious how many of you are dying from first world problems. It's funny because I got a little frustrated earlier because I typically go through and put up my what's it called? My banner, my let's see. Oh, looks like it. Nope, it loaded. I usually go through and I'll post these guys up on Instagram and onto Facebook and whatever. And couldn't do that today because, hey, guess what? Instagram was down. So, if anybody shows up tonight, it'll be a miracle. So far, we got 10 people. So, God bless you. Thanks for coming out, having fun. Looking forward to what happens tonight. So, I had this idea earlier. And it'll take some reworking. But in essence, what I want to do is I want to come up with let's pull stuff up. I want to, instead of having two little pigs, which could be fun and cool in its own right? Instead of having two little pigs fighting two dragons, I think what I want to do is I want to have one character fighting two dragons. Two dragons on this, sacred gumdrop, chocolate top mountain. So this is going to take some serious reworking. However, I think that it could totally work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and do a lot of rearranging. I'm just going to go ahead and start off by taking this pigs group. I'm going to say delete the folder. Oh, come on. I thought it was going to take the contents too. Okay, delete. Okay, delete. Okay. Okay, so that got rid of the pigs. We don't need the pigs anymore. And just for the sake of versioning up, we're going to go Candyland 12. Alright. So, cool. Alright, so far we're good. Cool. So, what I want to do, I want to start off by thinking through my new composition. I had a couple of thoughts when I was going through and sketching my dragons a little bit. Where did I put my sketchbook? I feel like as they are now, let's turn off the mountain. You see how long those dragons are? Which could be cool in a certain application. But I think for these dragons, with these compositions, with these ideas that I'm working through, I want them to be shorter. Here we go. Okay, tilt that the right direction. Okay, so there's kind of like the first dragon that I kind of came up with, the first little sketch. Not the first one overall, but that's the first one I came up with in the last couple of days, just kind of thinking through it. And I have this long body coming up, which it's kind of cool, but I don't think it's quite what I want to do. Instead, I want to do something that's a little bit shorter. I don't know if I want to go quite that short. I feel like that's a little bit too short, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. Bella. How are you doing? Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since you've graced the chart, the chat of the live stream. So that's kind of what I want to go through and do, is figure out kind of how to, how short I want these dragons to be, I want to figure out more of a bit different composition. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, let's say, load tool. Let's come over here to Dragon B2, because this is the one that has the topology to it. Okay. Okay, so we got our topology going here. Okay. And for some reason we got the startup material kind of coming in there, so let's just get rid of it by coming up here, go material, color, fill object. And really I think I'm just going to keep everything at with a skin shade 4 for right now. So I could just come up to the Z plugin, go down to my subtool master, hit fill, choose material, okay. Now I'll just go down the whole list. Operation completed. Sweet. Quintonius, dude, good to see you, dude. How you doing? Okay, so what I want to do, since I have this, I want to take, okay, that's fine. I want to take the whole ring, like this whole last edge loop, and I want to flatten it so that it's completely flat. So here's what I do. Okay, this is really cool. Okay, I'm just going to hit mask, edge loop partial. You can use this transpose, which I'd had some problems with it recently, so I stopped using it. Yeah, it looks like it's working now. So we'll just use it. Turn off perspective, hold Alt, hit the little location upside down teardrop thingy. Get that centered. Hold Alt to be able to unrotate the gizmo. And we're just gonna like super flatten that out. Okay. So now that we've got this, okay, I want to go hold control. Oops, I'm gonna need more than just that. This is where mask comes in, mask edge loop partial. Hold Alt and you can unmask. It's pretty nifty, in case anybody wanted to know that. So topology trick, I've got these last two rings not masked. It's the ghost. It's the ghost. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Quintonius. You know, if you're here, like as long as you're here, it's great to have you. So I'm just going to hold control and I'm going to pull this straight out. Okay. Now this is going to, let's not pull it too far out, because I think what I'm going to want to do is adjust the shape from right here, because the anatomy of the head is what's going to be making kind of a little nestling spot for those horns. I don't really need it to stay indented down the length of the body and neck. However, one of the things that I think to be cool is to have yeah, Brandon, you're totally on time. One of the things that I want is to have kind of something of a ridge kind of going along the back. Okay, and what that'll do is it'll help to kind of reinforce the idea of having a spine. In fact, let me see. It's solo. I don't need to see all the everything right now. Okay. Oh, guys, I don't know if any of y'all from Australia or not, but there's this this series I've been watching on Netflix called Little Lunch. It's hilarious. So if anybody is actually like gotten into Little Lunch or anything, yeah, we need to talk. And yeah, Brandon, you are totally on time. Very impressed. Very impressed. Nah, it's a good night for us to all have fun. Okay. Okay, so right now, let's go ahead and shoot. Let's go to Z Modeler, mask, invert that. This is why I find it so helpful. So I can go ahead and I can make sure that I get that single edge loop, and it's really easy to control. Oh, so Little Lunch. It's about these grade schoolers in Australia, and alright, that's not what I wanted to do. Little Lunch is like their equivalent to like a lunch recess where they get to where they get let out to go ahead and play and you just have fun. It's brilliant. It is so much stinking fun. And I have a riot watching it. It's so much fun. And it just goes through them talking about life, kind of half interview and half watching it happen sort of thing. So, and it's all like just silly goofball humor, and so I super appreciate it because I love super goofball humor. But it's funny. It is so funny. Yeah, you guys have to look it up. You have to look it up. Okay, so let me see. Hola, Somnio. Yeah, super fantastic, and it's funny. It's one of those shows that I super love. I just super love it. It's not quite my wife's humor, but whatever. It's not going to appeal to everybody, but it's going to appeal to anybody who's anybody. Just kidding. Okay, let's go deformation, polish. Ooh, I don't like that. How did that happen? Let's kind of mask this stuff out. We'll kind of pull out the tail some. This is really messy how that happened. So, let's see what we can figure out. If we can figure out what to do for this. So we're gonna go ahead, if it'll let me. Insert single edge loop. Okay, sweet. Now here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hide that. Let's delete hidden. And now we can say collapse hole. Did that even like collapse that hole, bro? Good grief. It should be working. I'm wondering why it's not working. There we go. Okay. So now this is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's weird that that happened though. Let me see. For good sculpting, is it necessary to sculpt details? So details are something that you definitely want to save until later. Is like for right now, you can see this, and it's very basic. There's not a whole lot there, and I just added pieces to add detail. So, you know, that's something that I find to be helpful, is keeping it really, really low until, let's get my RGB turned on. Keeping it really, really low until I need to add more detail, until I need to have more information in the sculpt. That's one of the nice things about ZBrush, is that you can keep it really low. I have used Redshift. But it's been a long time. In fact, I think the last time I used Redshift, it was before it was even capable of doing sequence rendering. Let me see. Okay. So what I want to do with this, the reason why I'm taking time and actually doing this, I know it's kind of dumb, I want to go ahead and take so I actually do all of my my own rendering and texturing. I have handed my a piece of mine off to a texture artist before, just somebody that wanted to have something for their portfolio or whatnot. But actually, I don't remember how that turned out. Sadly. Okay. So essentially what I'm going to be making, these are going to be, I'm going to make this into a tripartite brush so that so I can essentially draw out my dragon and block them in. That's purely what I'm interested in doing at the moment. But I also have these parts ready so that in case I wanted to, I could just knock off the back parts and create the real head and body, really make them join up. Sound of the computer fan reminds me of my electric I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, it does get kind of crazy when I'm trying to stream and work at the same time. Primary forms and then secondary bits and tertiary forms, so forth, like an animation. Exactly, yeah. You're not going to worry about the subtle eye movement and you're not going to worry about lip syncing before you know where the head's going to be, and you're not going to worry about, so yeah, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Yeah, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take this and we're going to say merge visible. Merge visible. Okay, so now we've got this piece and it's all in a single subtool. Okay. I don't want all these different polygroups. The polygroups are going to totally kill me. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to hit Control W. Okay, so now everything is the same polygroup. In fact, those colors look really sweet. Man, I gotta take a picture of this. This is This is groovy right here. Oh, baby, yeah. Cool. Super, super cool. Okay, let's save that screenshot. Quick access. Downloads. We're going to save that as Dragon Blue Variant. It's actually really, really cool. I need to save this. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Let's go ahead, let's go into my standard brush. I'm gonna take my RGB intensity down to like maybe 20. Let's try it somewhere around there just to be able to see what it does. Okay, and now we're just gonna come up here. We're gonna go color, fill object. Color, fill object. Let's see if we can do this a different way. Let's see layers. Let's try this. We're just going to add a layer. And we're going to say colorize polypaint from groups. I did nothing. It got the wrong thing, polypaint from groups. It's not working, guys. It's not working. Let's turn off layer. Let's try it again. Not display properties. Where are we at? Polypaint. Well, it worked that time. Lame. It's just not the right color. Okay. Good morning from the UK. Good morning to the UK. Top of the day. Top of the day. Let's go. I'm like having... I think I need to go more blue. Color, fill object, fill object, fill object. There we go. That'll be like my cool, my second color. Control Shift D just to make sure I've got that in there. Okay, and now I can just kind of get rid of the color. Okay, so everything's the same polygroup, which is what we want. Now we want to go with our Z modeler, and we're just going to say polygroup island. Mesh has layers. Get rid of the bloody layers. Here we go. Let's say layers, and we'll just say turn it off. Okay. So there's one, and there's another. So now we have 3 polygroups. Okay. So what's cool, even though there's some overlap here with these pieces, oh, that's funny. Okay. Even though there's some overlap here with these pieces, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the start point, middle repeating point, and then end point. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and say brush, create, turn off perspective because I don't want perspective on. Let's just make sure I'm snapped to that top view. Mora azul. Oh, mora azul. Mora silvestre sounds so good right now. Okay, create insert mesh. New. Okay, merged head. Okay, that works. Dude, we're getting some fun people here today. How you doing, G? Let's go ahead and rename this Dragon Curve Brush. Okay, let's go ahead, create brush, append, skip until next restart. We'll take this one and we'll say delete. Okay, so now we got this piece. Now we got to go ahead and say turn it into a curved brush. Curve step 1, that's perfect. Okay. We'll say lock start, lock end, just because that's what I like. That's what I like. Okay, we will eventually need this curve fall off to be something like this, like this, like this, something like that. We'll play with it later as we need to. Okay, so we'll leave that for now. Brush. The curve isn't important. The modifiers are though. Triparts. Okay. Weld points. Stretch. Curve resolution. I always take that up to about 5. It doesn't really matter a whole lot how much more than that you go. What it's going to do is, instead of keeping your curve from, or your brush going from point to point to point to point, for instance, these this orange piece that's going to be repeating, instead of being, you know, like straight A to B, like between the different checkpoints along that curve, it's going to have a little bit of a bend to it. It's going to have a little bit of a flow to it, and it's going to keep it looking nice. So we'll have that. Okay, so that's definitely backwards from where I want it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to flip it around. Okay, I want it to start here and end here. Okay, so that's, I always have to kind of double check myself on that. Create, insert mesh, append, take this one, brush, delete mesh. Okay, does it still have the features? Interesting. Okay, just for the sake of checking it out, I think it's just because of my size here. Okay, so let's flip horizontal. Z intensity, okay. Interesting. It's kind of cool to see the way that it's stretched, but at the same time, it's not cool to see the way that it's stretched. So maybe what we'll do, instead of going through and actually doing that, making a brush for this sort of thing, we'll just go ahead and we'll do the same thing we did for these dragons and just make, just draw out a curve. Hiya, Mitch. Palo del Cabo. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what we'll end up doing. Let's do that. Okay, so since this isn't going to work the way that we wanted it to, we're just going to get rid of those. Okay, so now we have just our head. We're just going to title it Dragon Head. Sorry, I'm having like this terrible heartburn ever since supper. Hey Z, how you doing? Oh, thanks Mish. Yeah, the shark was fun. I want to actually go through and run the shark through some of those NPR filters, and even like maybe a couple of the ones that I built as modified versions. Trying to see where you make it. Queso. Yeah, I had a friend growing up. She would always make fun of everybody for that. Somebody would say queso, and then she'd be like, cheese. Yeah, so here we go. Let's take this. In fact, here's what we could do. I'm going to take this. Let's take this and actually, let's turn it into an IMM brush. Say create insert mesh. We're going to say append. We're going to take the old one. We're going to say brush, delete, and then let's just go ahead and we'll turn off, well, let's turn off size, but we'll turn off curve mode. Okay, so now we should be good to drag this out all day long. Interesting thing though, that it's not bringing my color along. Maybe it's because it doesn't have the textures and UVs. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'll just append it and move it around, not a big deal. Okay, so what I want to do, let's just get started on this. Okay, so at the beginning of the stream, for those of you who weren't here, you know, in the first 5 seconds, what I want to do, I had this idea to be able to kind of change this up some, and I feel like it's something that'd be stronger. You might notice I've gone through and I've taken out those two little piggies, and working on trying to go through. I want to make a different composition. Okay, I want to turn this into something else. So what I want to do is I need to think about different storytelling. Think about what I could do roughly to make this work, and then bring in the high resolution elements to be able to fill in those spaces. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this. Okay, let's actually hide this mountain. No, let's do this. We're going to duplicate. Let's duplicate that. We're going to hide the first one. We're going to merge this one. It's interesting. I didn't realize that it kept the folder. Otherwise, I would have just, you know, just do that. Okay, cool. So we've got that. And with this group, with this piece, what I'm going to do, okay, we're going to make a union mesh out of it. Unified skin is what it's called, I guess. And you have this resolution thing. This is something that I use pretty rarely, but it's really, really helpful. So I'm going to say make unified skin. And if we scroll up here, this is all it does. Okay, it took the pieces and it made one unified piece. Okay, this is useful to me when I'm going through and I'm preparing something for 3D print, and it doesn't want to dynamesh, it doesn't want to close holes properly. I'll go ahead and I'll do this unified skin, and then I'll up the resolution, project, things like that to be able to make it so that it works properly. So what I want to do with this, let's come over here. We're going to say subtool append skin merged thingy here. Okay, let's turn that off. Don't want that on. Let's get this going on here. Let's say fill that, color and material. Actually, I don't want to do it like that. Let's just come over here. Fill object. Okay. Here we go. Let's turn that off. We've got our tree still on. Let's close that up, turn that off. Turn off our gumdrops. What is still on there? Okay, it's this other merged piece. Alrighty. So here's what we want to do. I might so mirror in the X direction. Let's do this first. Just because we're here experimenting, okay? This is pure experimentation. Okay, we are mirroring it. Okay. And now one of the things I want to do, let's go ahead, we'll say drag in. Let's turn on the mountains because, okay. I want to make sure that I remember where my breaks are, what the shapes are, because this piece right here doesn't really exist. Let's use that snake hook and just kind of pull it in some. What I'm really looking for is just different shape. So what we want to do, I'm going to take let's get our curved standard 2-brush thing here. How is everybody doing tonight? How is everybody doing tonight? You seen any cool movies lately? Modifiers, brush modifiers down to 8. And this just gives you like 8 edges going around the outside of the brush. I like that. 5. So let's take this up to 1. We'll take lock start, lock end, curve modifiers. I want a Z intensity, flip vertical. We'll go something like that. Every time you're on here, you want some chocolate. It's funny. It's like I got to the point where I stopped eating my chocolate. I stopped eating my reference. I thought you guys would be proud of me, but that's not even the funny part. The funny part is that I went ahead and I got back onto a kick, which is kind of a pain. but you know, whatever. You know, chocolate cakes come and go. Saw Captain Marvel Quintonius. How was that? How was that? Let's see. Okay, so essentially what I'm wanting to do right now, I'm just kind of experimenting with how did that get to be like that? That's interesting. stroke, come back to the, oh, come on, curve. Yeah, curve step is at 1. Why is it being all interesting on me? Interesting. Because then this should not have anything to do with it. But I guess today it feels like it is. 7 out of 10, huh? Man, that's funny. It's like you hear from people all the time that are like, "Oh, such a good movie," and I can't believe anybody wouldn't like it, and whatever. I haven't gotten to see it yet, and I kind of doubt that I will while it's in theaters. I don't really go and watch movies in the theaters very often unless I get invited, because I don't particularly like going to the theater. It's just not really my cup of tea. Okay, let me see. How was working on How to Train Your Dragon? How to Train Your Dragon was cool. It was a fun experience. It's really funny because, like, thinking back on it, I don't know that I care to stay in entertainment. Like this is it's not something that I feel like I really want to stay in. I got my experience getting to do work with some really talented people, and got to work on a bunch of different things. I've done video games, I've done all sorts of things. Video games, toys, theme parks, movies. Yeah, I got to work on the new How to Train Your Dragon movie that just came out. So yeah, lots of really cool, fun things that I've gotten to do. I just don't know that, it's a good opportunity. It was a fun chance that I got. I just don't know that I feel like I care to stay in entertainment. I kind of like where I'm at right now. With Disney, I get to work on theme park rides. And really, it's quite brilliant. It's a totally different experience from anything that I'd ever done, although it does use very similar sort of skill sets and things like that. This is kind of crazy. I'm trying to figure out. I think this is kind of coming from the wrong direction. I think what I'm going to want to do is turn off this mountain here. Okay. So we're going to have... So on How to Train Your Dragon, I did all sorts of stuff. I worked on a ton of stuff. And a ton of... It wasn't big stuff. It wasn't anything that you'd look at and be like, that's amazing, Like, no main characters, nothing like that, nothing of that sort. But I got to work on some pretty cool set pieces. Got to work on... I actually put a little Easter egg in the movie for you, which I don't know that anybody would notice or care to notice. But I thought it was cool. There was inside of Stoic's hut, there's a bookshelf. I built the bookshelf. I dressed it, made a bunch of books, things like that. And on that shelf, there is a book from the Guardians book from what's it called? Rise of the Guardians? Yeah, I was pretty happy about that one. Yeah, so you can kind of see the effect of that. Remember how we talked about here underneath brush modifiers, there's this curve resolution. I need to raise that up a little higher so you guys can see that above the chat. There we go. So this curve resolution right here, I have it set to 5. Okay, what that's doing is this curve that's running through this this mesh. You can see there's this one segment, this black segment right here, red segment, black segment. Each one of those segments is it's being smoothed out, so it's not just like going straight, like the mesh isn't going straight between this point and this point. It has a bit of a curve to it. Why would you want me to sign your Groot? You made the Groot. Come on, Mitch. Yeah, so let's see. Try something like this. And then let's try something like this. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to have a single protagonist fighting these two dragons. One of the things that I need to think about, that I need to consider, that I need to work out. Okay, so far I've got these. Okay, let's go ahead and come on. We'll say split hidden. Okay, so we're going to rename this Dragon Blocking 2. Good night. Ooh. Yeah, postage is pretty atrocious going between here and the UK. Really going anywhere, it's pretty bad. But I reckon it could be worse. Let's go ahead, let's say insert, and we'll grab this dragon head. Okay. So now this is where we're going to want to kind of come in and play with this. And it's getting a bit too small. Okay. Cool. Let's Control Shift D just to keep them separate, easier to work with. I mean, it's a little bit more of a. It makes it so that there are more things to worry about, but in the very least, we don't have to worry about. We don't have to worry about them messing up with what's it called? Pivots and things like that. Hansa from Overwatch. Let's go ahead and take that, we'll twist that some. I think that's okay. Judging by where the mountain was originally, I think I want to take this up a little bit higher, rotate it down some. I want to have him aiming as if he's going to be hitting kind of the snout of the other dragon. I want the other dragon to have. In fact, maybe we should just go ahead and block in the rest of this. And this is all going to be just rough, like figuring it out type blocking. But yeah, I won't even worry about doing the bulging eyes right now. I essentially want it to be like, let's see, so much to think about. Let's turn off dynamic. Okay, just for the sake of making sure that the dragon bodies are the right color, just so they don't blend in, let's just fill those. I kind of like that length, although this one feels like it might be too short. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just kind of arch this one some more. Because essentially our hero is going to be kind of lit, like his foot's going to be on the dragon's head, and he's going to be like, you know, kind of twisting and whatever, trying to fight off. Let me see if I can pull up my sketch again and show you real quick. Oh, sketched my family today. That was fun. I was waiting for a process to run through in ZBrush at work, and it wasn't even that sketchbook that I'm looking for. It's in this one, I think. You know what? The sketch isn't even really well defined, but it might be clear enough. So you see that. So we're going to have the two dragons. This is the one up top that's actually breaking the stern off of the mountain. And then this is the one down at the bottom. You see, like our protagonist is going to be stepping on his snout and kind of pushing off and trying to get this to. So this is going to be kind of fun. One of the things that I find interesting about this is I can come in this stage. Whenever we're going through and blocking, trying to figure things out, we don't want to be taking things too seriously. It's so much better to just play. Oops. It looks like French bread. Okay, we'll just leave it like that then, that's fine. It actually really kind of legit does look like French bread. That's funny. Okay. Okay, so here's the nice thing. Since we are just blocking this in, we can just kind of use a mask lasso. We're just going to kind of lasso this out. Okay. So we're just gonna kind of fake it a little bit for now. Okay, so that tongue's not gonna be perfect yet, but kind of working on it. We'll get there. Don't, okay. Let's go ahead and pull this out just so we can see it. The other thing I want to do, hungry now, which is funny because like I'm not even, well, I guess I am kind of talking a little bit about food. I mean, my French bread. Yeah, I mean, it could be cool. So Hanzo had, I'm pretty sure Hanzo had 2 dragons and Genji had 1. Hamzo. It's always good having Ghost of Christmas Future on. You never know what's gonna come out. Alright, something like that for now. Okay, and let's figure out, let's block in. Dang it, I think I missed it. I've been getting mosquitoes in the bedroom, really kind of all over the house, but especially in the bedroom. That's kind of irritating. I'm actually going to pop the window open. It's roasting in here. Some of you don't have that problem. I do. Yeah, I'll just kind of leave that window in the bathroom open. Hopefully that'll let enough cool air in. It has a screen, so I shouldn't have to worry about it letting in any more bugs. But the way these bugs are, it's almost like they just kind of happen out of nothing. It's kind of stupid. Saludo Perú. ¿Qué tal Renzo? Como Lorenzo. Okay. Let's block something in. Actually, let's say append something to the end here. Let's get a sphere 3D and let's figure this guy out. Okay. Let's do this. We'll do this. Let's see. Let's try doing something with symmetry just for the sake of making sure that we can use symmetry a little bit before we don't have symmetry. Because this is just going to be a block-in. This isn't going to be anything super serious as I sculpt something with a serious face. I don't need that. Okay, so what I thought could be cool was to do something kind of Samurai Jack sort of style, which could be really cool. Let's see, let's go ahead, let's pull out our curved tube. Let's turn off. Actually, let's do this. Let's go into IMM primitives. I'm going to use this for the torso. Let's open up my sketchbook. I got to remember kind of more or less what it is that I've got this guy doing. Okay. An Aladdin head. No. Ow. He already had his chance to fight off a big snake and he won. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to want this shoulder coming down, this shoulder kind of coming up. Let's actually, oops. I want to invert that. Let's kind of take this in here. I kind of want him to feel like he's looking over his shoulder, like he's kind of like, you know, sort of thing. Like I'm ready for you, dude. And then, yeah, we'll eventually have this dragon's paws like against the mountain. So he's got like one up on the top piece that's kind of breaking away, and one that's on the bottom piece. And then this guy will also have his paws kind of down on the mountain. But more in like a I'm being stepped on sort of way. Okay. Let's get one of these in here. Okay, we're gonna make this kind of like the hips. Okay, since I have no symmetry on this guy, it's okay to go ahead and just kind of move him and position him in the way that I need to. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead, we're going to keep blocking in this guy. Okay. So our one leg is going to have kind of this dynamic, like he's ready to spring off. And then the other leg is just going to be kind of, you know, like kind of tucked up. So the way that I'm going to make that, I'm going to kind of duplicate this one off. And we're just going to kind of rotate, pull it up. Something like that. Let's get back to our mask lasso. And let's pull this guy in. Let's turn off RGB. I want my smooth to actually smooth. Okay, so that's not quite working. Gotta kind of play with it some more. It's always fun. You know, just being really relaxed and trying to figure out kind of what it is that I want to try. It's kind of the big point for the stream that I want to get across is being able to tell story. And come on, you brute. Okay, let's go ahead and inflate this up. Okay, so trying to decide with the arms what I have with the arms currently. It's going to be something like this, where he's got his left hand on the sheath, ready to kind of draw his sword, and then his other hand like reaching around, grabbing onto the hilt of the sword. Thinking about like kind of, you know, having it there so that he's ready to pull it out, and then he's kind of got this, like, you know, kind of like ready and kind of looking over his shoulder sort of look. That's a pretty cool idea, Z. One of the things that that I would really like to do, though, is I want to keep it kind of lighthearted, still feeling kind of dangerous, and you know, you could feel the peril of the moment, but at the same time feeling yeah, I don't even know. It's tricky. It's funny when you can shoot candy canes. That's funny. Or the other thing that I could have him do, purely because I don't want it to feel too menacing. Like I'm thinking about maybe I give him like a bow staff or something like that, some sort of staff rather than a. So I think something like that could work out. Let me see, let's come back over to here. Where's that leg? There we go. The arm. I want to come back over to this one. We'll say insert arm. That's really big. Okay, so essentially the way that I want this to work, I want this to kind of be, you know, positioned underneath him. You know, like he's getting kind of pressured down. Okay. Now let's go ahead and we'll pull that up, rotate it out. Just kind of mask that out. Let's do it this way, actually, because we're going to want to make sure that that elbow is also kind of preserving the volume. So let's do it something like that. Okay. What do you guys think? Should we go through? I still need to go ahead and develop the topology for these hands. Should we go ahead and do that before we yeah, as part of what we do for the stream tonight? Mirror and weld, let's go ahead and do, oops, let's not do that. That'll work. See, it kind of popped up over here, so you know, I obviously have to bring this over. Kind of have it connected somewhere on the body, similar to where I have it on the other side. And maybe I can rotate it out so that it's not in the same location, so it's not like he's grasping onto the same exact spot. Okay, just use my move brush and kind of pull that down some. See, I like that. That's starting to feel like there's so much more story to it. Whereas before, what we had, you know, it was cool. You know, we had this sort of thing going on where I had this, you know, little porker kind of jumping at it. not as cool. This pose is fun. It's engaging. The dragon. But I definitely like better what we have going on right now. Let me go back to Projects, Candyland. Yeah, a couple of NPR renders I went through and did last week. So one of the things I like to do is I like to get several different renders, things that I can go through and I can composite inside of Photoshop. It makes it a little bit easier in getting the effect that I like, so that I can dial things in. I can have a whole lot of effects and then really kind of fine tune it in Photoshop. But yeah, so you know, these poses, they're just not as engaging. There's not as much story. You can tell that there's something going on, but it's not as engaging, and that's really what I want. I would want to really, really tell a story. And so jumping in and thinking about this single protagonist, this single guy that's battling two dragons, you know, I feel like this is making it so much more dynamic, and it really creates more of a focal point rather than splitting the story between two protagonists that are going in completely different directions. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so far I'm liking that. All right, let's add in arms. And yeah, we'll just add in arms. We'll do that. Oops. Did I get that? Yeah, we're good. Okay. It's like I was worried for a second there that I had you miss full ZBrush. Oh, so Ghost. Did you see the that there are codes available? I meant to add it to. That's a pretty cool dragon there, Ghost. It's kind of interesting seeing the spikes on the feet. I wouldn't want that thing landing on me. One of the things that you could do, let me open up, if you are interested in in a subscription is something that they're starting to do, that they're starting to offer. Let me open this up if I can get to it. There we go. Let me make sure that that's visible. Yeah, it looks like it is. Sweet. Yeah, so I mean, this is something that's available to you, and personally, for myself personally, I bought the full version. I started off buying the educational license. It was what I needed. It's all I needed for a while. But then, it was just so much more worthwhile to me having purchased the full license of ZBrush. It's been a fantastic tool. It's definitely paid itself off. It's such a wonderful investment. So great. But if that's not something you can do, ponying up, I think $900 now for a full professional version of ZBrush, you can go ahead and you can do a subscription. And there's a code that you can go ahead and they're fins, so you haven't put in the webbing between the pieces yet. That'll be cool to see when you get that. But yeah, you can do your subscription for 6 months with a $30 off coupon. So it's really pretty nice. And if you only have like a 2 or 3 week project that you need ZBrush for, do a month subscription. You can do that. This code is only good for a 6-month subscription though. So, and if we have more than 10 people, this goes for any of the beta testers. So if you use any of the beta testers' codes to be able to get a subscription, a 6-month subscription to ZBrush, if you use the code to be able to do that, then eventually that kind of builds up. If the person has had more than 10 people use their code, then they'll get a 6-month license subscription that they can give out for free. So it's just kind of a fun thing. So there's not a way for us to figure out whose code has been used and whose hasn't. So it's really kind of just if you're interested in it, I would go for it. I would totally use it. So that's good. Go for it. Use it. Go do great things. So back to this guy. Let's figure him out. Okay, so we're going to do something like that. Okay, what's cool is that since I used my special duplicating trick, I hope that that's not the same polygroup, but since I used that polygroup duplicate piece trick, it's the same polygroup. Shoot. Okay, whatever. Polygroup island, that'll work just fine. So now we can do this. So now, since I did this, I can just hold Control, and I can just kind of rotate it around and find the pose for the other arm that I want, having duplicated the arm. Simple, 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 simple. It's actually going up too high. Okay, something more like, it's kind of tricky. Okay, I'm gonna pull this in. Let's make our brush nice and big and kind of play with us. I love to see how 90% of people gave out codes. It's great. Yeah, it is great. I mean, it's fun that they were willing to go ahead and give out subscriptions like that. I mean, this is the first time that they're offering subscriptions, so it's a great opportunity if that's something that you're interested in. That looks way too goofy. Let's just pull in a sphere. Pull that into place. So, for anybody who watched last week or who has started diving into the new ZBrush features, what are some of the things that you're excited about? What are some of the things that you are nervous about or okay. So that's going to be our character blocking for now. Let's grab these feet. I'm just going to duplicate them, bring them up here. So let me see, how far down did we get it? That's maybe about right. Okay. Just kind of mask everything but that. So, I've got a question for you guys. I think it could be cool if once a month I did like a different challenge where, you know, we can all participate so that it's just so that it's fun, and we'll just participate from home, and we can all share links to whatever it is that we do or whatever, but the challenge will be different every month. So it could be like a non-dominant hand speed sculpt, or it could be a character design challenge, you know, all within an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And we can talk about it. Or ooh, this could be cool. Just kind of rotate this down. Okay. Yeah, and then we can just kind of share what it is that we did, and here we go. That's starting to really be something. But what do you guys think? Would it be fun to go through and do challenges like that? I had a whole big list of different things that would be fun. And I can't remember off the top of my head really what they were. C'est la vie, mon ami. Okay, let me see. He really reminds me of the ninja block of wood. You could have him as half turning into smoke / block of wood, and the dragon's chasing the decoy, and the real guy is half smoke on top of the mountain looking down. That sounds like it's getting complicated. Let me see. Okay, I like the smaller tree better, I think. Okay, let's see. Let's duplicate this. Let me see. Is there a way to mirror the group? No, there's not. But there are only 2 pieces, so let's do it this way. Let's shrink our visible count down so we can see, not geometry. Deformation, mirror. Change down to the tree, mirror. So now we've got this going. Transpose set. Okay, let's kind of bring this up. Like, we're really changing how this is going to be. I keep seeing that bug. It landed on my hand. Thought for sure I had gotten it. Oh, I think I felt a bite. I think I got one. Okay. I'm gonna finish this session with like 1 billion bug bites. Okay. Okay, so here's what we want to do. Let's go into our solo mode. Okay. This is where we get to play with a lot of things. Okay, so we're not going to just think about placement, but we're also going to think about scale. We're going to think about composition, staging. Okay, so we're really trying to push all sorts of different ideas. I had to get rid of the dragons just so I can see better, but I need to be able to figure out the composition going around the dragons. Okay, now I gotta tweak this so that the stylized shape can kind of come back in. It's starting to lose some of that flavor. Let's see if that's... What is it I'm seeing down there? Okay, so that's not even visible at all, which isn't a huge deal. We'll, okay, so let me see. $15 should be good. Let's turn our gumdrops back on. It's kind of funny. They're there. They're just really hard to see. Let's just make sure we got our one selected. Let's bring this one up over here. If anybody has questions going along too, I'm more than alright, more than happy to discuss things and answer questions, whatever you might want to ask. yeah, has anybody thought of an answer to little bits of ZBrush that they're excited for? Are there features that you're happy to see? Are there features that you're nervous? With the last version of, well, not the last version I beta tested. There was this thing that they had introduced called 3D alphas. 3D alphas and the chisel brushes and the vector brushes, the vector displacement meshes. It's still not something I've really explored and experimented with. However, I can see the value in them, and so I will be playing with them some, because I feel like it's something that would greatly benefit me even on this project. I feel like that there are ways where I could benefit from knowing those tools and techniques. So what are some tools and techniques that you guys look at and think, I should try that, or what the heck, how would I use that? Let me see if I can think of an example of a tool where I was thinking of how I would use it. When they went through and started talking about the 3D snapshot, okay, the alphas in Spotlight that came out with this version. At first, like within the first few minutes of them going through and showing me, I was like, okay, what's this? And then I watched. They brought up a couple of demo pieces that they had done and started showing kind of the process of how the tool works. And when they did that, it started to kind of click and started to kind of make sense. It's one of those things that it's just you don't always get a full click right away, but then when it clicks, it's like, okay, yeah, so I can go through and I can create really whatever kind of pieces I want, and then the Z-remesher, I can create cleaner pieces, and then I can take it into, I'm trying to decide if this is working, if that tree is working. We'll have to figure it out. And if it's not working, then I gotta figure out, okay, what do I do to be able to figure it out? What do I do to be able to make it work? How can I apply it? And it gets tricky, but totally worth it. To just think about, how could I use this? Okay. It's funny, people aren't very chatty today. Either that, or there's something wrong with the chat. Like it's not syncing up as well as it should. Oops. starting to be something, guys. Okay, what's your favorite animal? Come on. See if we can get this to do something we like. What's that? Yes. Yes, we can. We can get this to do something we like. How about that? Got it. See that? It's a bug. Did it actually show up? Yeah, it shows up. Not super in focus, but it was there. Alright. So now that I've severely grossed out all of you, okay, turn off the transparent. You know, purely for kicks and giggles, I think it'd be funny if his staff is made out of either a pretzel or a Pocky stick. Just gonna pull this in. I'll have to figure out more later on about what it is exactly that this staff is, what it's doing. I also have to figure out later on what it is exactly that the dragon on top is doing. If he's there and he's breathing fire, or if he's there and he's... That's not what I wanted. Or if he's like lunging to be able to take a bite, or because if he's lunging to take a bite, I'm going to want to think about, okay, these feet and the position that they're in, are they kind of conductive to grabbing onto the rock, to that mountainside, to be able to kind of like pull himself forward and lunge, or if he's, you know, getting ready to give a blast of fire, which I think would be funny to make it like a mixture of cotton candy and something else. I don't know. I haven't really figured it out yet. But that could be just like a trail coming down the side. Trying to figure out everything is just kind of fun. Okay, so since all we had to do was mirror, I'm going to take have in the Oreo, we have all those groups. Okay, so let's see, with this, let's turn this off. Let's say deformation mirror. Oh shoot, now we can mirror. Okay, so there are things about this that we do want to keep. So I'm just going to kind of Control-Shift-A. Let's turn that back on. Okay, so this way we get the pieces of the our little waterfall isn't going to make sense there anymore. So what we're going to end up doing is we're just going to take our waterfall actually, let's do this. Let's use our Z modeler. We'll say delete an island. Delete an island. Yeah, you see that? Got rid of all of it. Sweet. Okay. Cool. All right. You know what? Maybe with this guy, what we need to do is kind of mask off a piece. And let's get him so that maybe he's coming in from this sort of angle, more from perpendicular to the mountain, and so he's got to kind of stop himself, you know. Okay. Definitely a whole lot to figure out here. Yeah, there we go. Let's make it feel like he's coming from somewhere. That could work. That could work. Okay. And again, these bodies, they're just kind of roughing it in. It's really just kind of the idea of where I want them to be, where I want them to end up. And who knows, maybe with these tails, we go in and we figure out, okay, I want to add in some sort of puff kind of here on the end. It's way too big of a puff, but it's a puff. so we can kind of play with this a little bit. Try to make sure that shape is not boring from any angle. Kind of shrink it down. I feel like it's too big. Ooh. Okay, so here's the thing. I really like how this looks. Okay, so this is telling me that this needs to be more of a compositional angle that I need to be able to have. That's something I need to have, okay? I need to see this dragon from this side. The reason is it gives me a clear shot at exactly what's happening right here between the dragon and the rock. Okay, dragon and the chocolate. Okay. The thing that I need to change. Okay, I need to take our little warrior dude. We're gonna say mirror. Okay, and we're going to let's take him. You know what? You know what, maybe this still is the right direction to have him going. Maybe it's just a matter of taking it and rotating him so that he feels like he's got a plan, or let's take these pieces, Control A. Let's mirror the torso and the arms. This is tricky. Because thinking about the pose with this is going to be significant. This is going to be important to really kind of get the feel for what we want to really portray our story. Okay, so that's going to be good. That's going to be alright. Say something like that for right now. I'm curious if maybe it's a matter of taking his head and kind of tilting it up more. Okay, so let's see now. Let's take this guy Let's mirror him over. Mirror. Mirror. This way he's all kind of in the same spot. Now what I want to do is I want to get my pizza boxes. Okay. And we want to get just certain pieces selected and available for us. Let's move him around so that he's, yeah, something like this will work so much better for the storytelling. Like, look at that, it's almost as if they're tag teaming the, you know, they're both trying to catch him, you know, it just feels, oh, come on. Okay. Cool. Now let's see if there's a way to be able to build our tree back into this. Not that one, because that's too big. It's this one. Let's play with this one and see what we can get. Yeah, you guys really haven't been very chatty today. Not a bad deal. I mean, I'm not complaining. It is more fun when you guys are around, though. It's good to have people. Okay, let's turn off the pizza boxes. Okay, let's move him forward a little bit so that he feels like he's kind of bouncing off of that snout. Here we go. Get this rock out of the way. Okay. So I really like how that's going on. Okay, here's something I want to do. I sculpted, oh, okay, first things first. Let's hit save. Do I want to replace it? Yes. Let's turn off that volume because I don't need volume when I'm working. Okay, so let's do that. that a little bit. Okay. I'm losing what I was going to do. What was I going to do? Oh, the opossum. ZBrush. Opossum. What? What? Oh, that's gotta be a joke. Oh well, I can build a new one. So I'm not entirely sure. I may leave the teeth on this bottom guy as they are. It's kind of fun having the gaps, but I also thought it could be cool to go through and have it so it's just kind of like a cartoony zigzag sort of thing going on. So let's take this actually. Let's hit save one more time because I did make some adjustments. Replace it, yes. I don't need the rest of those. I'm just going to hit the R to be able to kind of refresh and be able to make it so that this is the only thing that I have open. I'm going to hit clone, so I've got this to kind of start with. And let's initialize it. QCube. Oops, that's not what I want. Let's insert. Okay. So what I want to be able to do create the teeth. Cool. So from here, I need to make sure that I understand which way is which. So I want to delete single poly here, here, and here. So that way we're left with just this band kind of going through. Okay. Let's do this. We're going to squish it down. Actually, let's just do this. We'll just go ahead and mirror and weld. And what that does is it gives me this nice edge right here in the middle. Okay. Really, technically, it's not a huge deal to have this front section because we're not even going to have let's make sure it has symmetry on. We're not even going to have front teeth. It's just going to be kind of a veneer to be able to, a facade, if you will. Okay, it's just going to tap on it with multiple edge loops selected. And it's going to give me edge loops in the middle, halfway. So that way you know it's perfectly halfway. Okay, so here's something else we can do. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hold spacebar on my points and I'm going to say bridge. 2 points. Okay. Something like that. Let's do this. It's not long enough, so let's, instead of just doing this, let's go ahead, let's center this. Let's double it. I just really want to make sure that I have enough zigzag to give me the look that I want. And again, this is happening on both sides. Okay, so what I want to do, this is going to give me something of a tooth base, if you will. Let's make sure I got it all the way. Okay, make sure that's facing straight away. You can see it's starting to kind of create that illusion of teeth that are kind of, you know, crisscrossing, you know. So what we want to do, let's go ahead and shrink that together. Let's go ahead, crease edge. Oops. Oops, I don't want that creasing down. Let's go ahead. Let's do it this way. Crease, edge tolerance, the crease tolerance all the way up to 180. Hit crease, and it gets all the way around the border. My mentor, Zach Petrak, taught me that. Really good trick. Okay. Let me see. So now that we have this, okay, let's rename it so that we can have I'm gonna call it zigzag teeth because, you know, zigzag. Okay, we're gonna say insert. Okay, you see they're right there. They're really, really small. Okay, make sure symmetry is turned off. Let's come up here and we'll start working it in. See. What? What in the world? Okay. That's really weird. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Let's say delete hidden. And we'll, that's right. Delete an island. Although I don't really want to delete it. Let's just say polygroup an island. This way we can go through and we can hide the teeth. We don't have to worry too much about them. Just really trying to push the surreal, imaginative, fun zinginess of these characters in this environment. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so far I think that, well, I mean, I think for this to work, I think what I'm going to want to do is have these, I would want to have those teeth smaller, have more of them. I don't think this is working for what I was intending it to be. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to unhide those teeth. I think that that's achieving the look and the intent just fine. Wow, okay, so because I'm a little bit tired of seeing just pure chocolate on this thing, I want bring this over here, make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Let me see if I can pick a neat color for a gumdrop. What's a good color I haven't used yet? I'll say that's good. It's not super typical, but neither is a dragon made out of gummies, so, and donuts. Okay. There we go. So that happened for me just a second ago with my navigation. Didn't want to seem to work. What a lazy bum. eventually I'm going to want to go through and like refine these feet, refine the pose, refine the, right? But for tonight, since I'm just going to work on blocking this, making it feel like it has some good intention. Okay, that's gonna be kind of cool. For this guy, let's kind of get, yeah, no, let's take it back where it was. Okay. Okay, so one of the things that I really want to kind of just figure out really quick is making, let's use our curved tubes. Let's just make some tufts of grass, because I feel like, well, I want it to feel like coconut, like strands of coconut. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this turned on. Let's, yeah, that should be good. And then over under modifiers, instead of 8, we're just gonna take it down to 4. So that gives a fitter like just long strands of coconut. And this is essentially kind of like the curve strap snap brush. Except that, okay, let's change the intensity down to something closer to 30, turn off. Let's actually change our intensity up, maybe closer to like 50. Okay. And then I don't need all those, all that resolution, so I'm just going to kind of bring it back down to 1. This is plenty for me, because then I can go through and I can hit smooth, what's it called? The dynamic preview. And, oops, let's bring this back down so that it's more the right size. I forgot what the size was that I've been using. Okay, so what's nice about this, it's not really a whole lot. Okay, let's go ahead, we'll say split hidden. Okay, but what I can do with this, now I can take this and I can say, I just went ahead and duplicated it. I'm just going to take it and rotate it around. And I'm just going to move it, holding control so that I can get something slightly different. Use my move topological to be able to make something slightly unique from what I had. Maybe give this a little bit of a bend up rather than a bend down. Okay. And then one of the other things I can go through and do, let's go polygroups, auto groups. Okay, I can just grab this and say maybe I want some more of these, or maybe some more of these. I can just kind of bring this over, rotate it out. If I want to, I can grab my move brush and just kind of pull on it some, give myself a little bit more variation. Invert my mask and Control W to be able to make it so that it's its own polygroup. Makes things really, really flexible. Okay, let's make sure that things are not intersecting, because that's not fun. And it's so not realistic. It's something that's not always a huge deal. With grass, it's not really a huge deal. But let's take this. We'll say 0 in the X, 0 in the Z. Same thing, 0 in the X, 0 in the Z. That cube doesn't need to be visible. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and essentially create. Yeah, I'll just use these as insert mesh brushes. Cocoa Grass 01. Cocoa Grass 02. Did I put one or did I meant to put two? Okay. And then here's the thing that I want to do. Control Shift D, and we're going to do a group split. Okay, two. I'm just going to say delete. That's fine. Let's go ahead and put that in so that it's on order. Okay, so now to be able to show exactly what we have grass 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. So this way we can go ahead and have like single strands to be able to add variety if we wanted to. And we also have these larger clumps. You know, small, large clump, and then a larger, small clump. And this will help us so that we have variety, more flexibility. This is one of the things that I did at work. I made an IMM brush kind of like this for for a section of the ride I was working on at the time. And yeah, just made it really, really easy to just go along, and I just kind of pluck, 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 pluck. And before long, I had grass. It was nice. Okay, so now we just want to go to the top view. We don't need solo on, we don't need it off, either way. Okay, brush, create, insert mesh, new. Oh, here's what I meant to do. Create, insert, multi-mesh. Okay, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all in there. Let's just come over here and we'll take a screen grab with this so that we can get, so we can make our own custom brush icon. It's always really, really helpful to have your own brush icon. It just makes it simpler. Okay, so let's come back over to this. We'll say, go back to this one. We're gonna hold Alt and hit select icon, and that'll just select your document. So that's really pretty nice. Now I've got that as my preview. So let's save it. It's because SMA Cocoa Grass brush preset save. Cool. Anyway, real easy, real easy. Okay, so now because I really want to add something green to this set, I'm thinking this is not quite green enough for what I'd like. So we're going to go through and we're going to try it a little bit. Not that, let's just go ahead and you can just kind of change how you draw these out each time, and that'll help to create just a little bit of variation. You know, just drag in a different direction, drag, change where you're at, drag, all sorts of stuff. So you start getting things like this. And then you can use your move topological and you can just kind of start moving things around a little bit. Yeah, maybe break up the groups, or maybe even, you know, cluster things together some if you feel like you ought to. You know, it's just a great way to be able to add a bunch of really neat, unique, and custom detail really quickly. Okay, so this is just, you know, one little patch. Now, if I wanted to, you know, I'm drawing it out on this. I don't want it to all be part of that same subtool, so I do want. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's come down here first. Say delete hidden. Okay. Oops. Control Shift A. Come on. And split hidden. Okay, so now we can go through and we can rename this Cocoa Grass. And we can take it and we can go, hold control and duplicate it, move it around, use the larger clumps we've already created to populate the area more quickly. Okay, and then what I'm looking for is to be able to populate areas like down the middles of rocks. Again, down in these crevices and things like that. Just kind of push it out of from, because you don't want it coming straight out of rock. Even though it's chocolate, it's still rock. Okay. So this is kind of a tricky stage because everything looks too rough to believe at the moment. But after you go through and play with it some, it's going to come over here and we're going to say, all right, that is not big enough. Let me see, take it up to 600, see if that's, yeah, looks good. Still not quite big enough. Let's change it up to 750. I'm just dragging it out and then holding control to be able to snap to the brush size. It's a really, really useful way to be able to get, oh, not that. To be able to get things to look the way you want, or like to be able to get your IMM brushes to snap to a specific size. Okay. Okay, let's try adding in just a few more sections of grass and we'll call it a night. Oh, that's another thing you can do to add variation. You can drag it out just a little bit far, like too big, and then you drag the other direction and it'll kind of shrink it in. you'll notice that sometimes you'll do it on accident and you can't figure out how to fix it. If you want to fix it and get it just back to the size, like to the standard draw out size, you just hold Control and it'll snap it back to where it's supposed to be. One of the other things I'm trying to consider is whether or not I want to give the dragon an extra set of hands, so they'd essentially have 6 arms, 6 legs, whatever. However you want to classify it. So now you can just kind of change things up a little bit. That's too much the same. Too similar. Okay. Need to get some over here as well. Let's take this, and yeah, we'll just leave it kind of right there. Let's really kind of shake this away from the rest of the group. And then this might be a good opportunity for me to go ahead and use those single pieces, pardon me, to better, oops, that's going too far into that other side there. Okay, get some single pieces over here. Just kind of figure out compositionally what's going to work, what's going to support, and right now, come on. Right now, I don't have a ton that's kind of going on. But I want to figure out ways to make it so that the eye is kind of being directed around the composition. So here's what we want to do. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit. Let's turn on perspective so that we've got, you know, something of a decent representation of what it is that we're trying to look for. Most of what we're wanting to focus on is right here with the dragons and our character. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to figure out a good angle where we can see, and, you know, we might even come to the point where we figure, you know, hey, maybe I need to cheat the angle on this character's head. Maybe I need to have the character face the camera more. Sorry, my knuckles have been feeling stiff today. Wow, it's already almost 11 o'clock. So maybe what we do let's do something like, I feel like that's kind of cheating the character out too much. Let's see, because we really want to focus on the character. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use kind of more the rule of thirds and try to figure that out. So we got this break in the top dragon's head happening along the top third. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just kind of got to play with some of this stuff. Okay. This is starting to feel a bit more promising. So it's just a matter of playing around with it. Right over here. Okay, so I want to take the character now. Let's actually, so here are some things that you can do with your with your camera. Okay, you can go ahead and you can lock it. Okay, which means that I'm not able to rotate around and see every different angle now. Okay, that button's right here. You can also get to it over here if you're underneath the draw menu. Okay. I'm going to open up my timeline. Okay, so let's say show. And let's say we're going to take this, we're going to call this our, well, we're not going to call it anything. We're just going to plant a point there. And let's go ahead and save it, just so we have views 5. Always trying to progress, always trying to get keep things updated. Something like that could work pretty well. The thing that I want to be careful of is that I want to make sure that my character is not facing away from the camera. Otherwise it feels like it's more a story about a couple of doofy dragons that are trying to catch food. Okay, so let's kind of come down here. Okay. Okay, so this is looking much better. Cool. Let's see if we can figure out a different angle that we like as well. You might be able to make something like that work. In fact, let's make it a little bit wider. Maybe we can make it wide enough to just fit in that whole top dragon. I feel like that might be just pushing it too much. We can make it a different view. We don't have to worry about holding to strictly these views. Okay, just tap that, click and drag the other one off so that we can make sure that we've got one view, two views. Okay. And this is, I mean, this character, it's not the, see if we can make something that's gonna stand out a little bit. Make it more yellow, I don't know. Nothing's really standing out a whole lot. Too much, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so one of the things that from this angle I'm going to have to be careful with is that all the detail coming in over here behind this dragon's head, back behind the character, it's not helping the action and the poses and everything to be clear. So that'll be something to kind of look out for. This one, on the other hand, so far, it's working pretty well. It's working pretty well. And we got some stuff to figure out. But I think that this is starting to go a much better direction. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. Well, this it's been fun. Thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. I really appreciated having people around, and yeah, hopefully you've had fun. Hopefully you've been able to work on some cool stuff, and yeah, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, on Facebook. You can see, you know, if you look down along the bottom over there, you can see my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smartist, SMAARTIST. That's also my handle on Instagram and most other social media platforms. So feel free to look me up that way. And yeah, I'll catch you next week. Same time, same place. And yeah, have a good week. Hope to see you then.